Welcome, everyone, to one of my favorite showcase events, How to Transform Managers into Leaders. My name is Stacey Whaley. I am the founder and CEO of Fire Up and Lead. Real quick, Fire Up and Lead is a leadership development company that I founded in 2016. I run the company virtually from my home office here in Western Wisconsin. And at Fire Up and Lead, we help small businesses train their current and future leaders. We help them become more comfortable and confident when it comes to the peopling side of people management. A little bit more about me before we dive into today's topics. Now, I have studied personal development, leadership development, team development for nearly 20 years now, and it has always fascinated me, leadership in general, how different everybody approaches leadership or what they look for in a leader, of who they want to follow. I think of the sociology of leadership and how teams come together, different people with different backgrounds and different perspectives. How do great teams come together around those differences? And then even, the economic impact of leadership fascinates me. How the decision of one person or the decisions of a few people can impact the lives of an entire business, entire corporation, and even larger for communities, right? And the civic impact of leadership and how that impacts us within our communities. So I have had the opportunity to work for companies, both large and small business owners, large corporations. My first entrepreneurial endeavor was in 2013, and I did some financial planning, but I would do that with small business owners, but we would spend just as much time talking about their peopling side of the business. And now 7 years of consulting and coaching and training leaders of all levels across different industries, I've really had an opportunity to observe and engage with teams of all makes and models. And through all of that, I've learned some truths. And the first truth is how starkly different people approach leadership. So with today's session, I want to share with you, we're going to cover these four bullets. What's the difference between management and leadership? They're often used interchangeably, but what am I talking about when I say transforming from a manager into a leader? I'm going to share with you 5 leadership principles that I think are the foundation to leaders with high integrity. And then also the guts of it, 5 how-tos. How do we take leaders from the mindset of managing to the mindset of leadership and actually get some traction? And then I will share with you some of our fired up leadership training options that can help you fill those needs. So let's dig in. Manager and a leader. Like I said, these are 2 words that are used interchangeably, but they are radically different. So let's take a look at what the difference is. So manager, by definition, is a person responsible for controlling or administrating all or part of a company. Another way to define it is a person who's in charge of the activities, the tasks, and the trainings of a team. The main things when we're managing, we need to be planning and organizing. We're planning the work that needs to get done. We're organizing how that's going to happen. We're staffing with people resources that can make that happen. There's the leading part of it, which we'll spend a lot of this webinar on. And then there's the controlling the day-to-day tactical operations. So a good manager is getting shit done. We are in the day-to-day tasks, so we're planning, organizing, right? This very specific project. And management is very important. We need structure and systems and processes, reportings and tracking and dashboards. Oh my, right? These are things that help us be efficient, effective, productive, right? Stay on track. Managing projects, deadlines, it is a lot of work. It is important work. But the working manager, is overwhelmed right now. So let me paint a picture of a working manager. Typically, somebody is promoted to a manager if they were a really good individual contributor. Yet they get to this management role and they are thrown into the deep end with little to no training. They're still going to be responsible oftentimes for individual deliverables. There are very few leadership positions that don't require a section of doing. So we're still individual contributing. Likely a larger role in project management. They're volunteering or they're put on voluntold committees and subcommittees, both internally and externally. And they may be required to handle like customer escalations, right? They're the tactical operations. They're putting out fires and they're probably still doing some deliverables that they have to do. Oftentimes I see supervisors, managers, even directors, they lack a sense of empowerment. They're not given decision-making power. They're told how to manage and track and tell and, hold people accountable, but maybe not so much to be empowered to make decisions when things aren't black and white. There's also a big time crunch. The working manager has little to no time to do the work of leaders. So there's no time to develop, mentor, and give quality feedback, not just drive-by feedback. There isn't the time to plan and communicate. There isn't the time to exchange different perspectives. No time to discuss the ethical implications of the decisions that are being made. And then really what it boils down to is that there is no time for the vulnerable side, the human side of human management, of people management. So ultimately, like I said, working managers don't always have or are given that time or know how to shift their time priorities to perform the work of leaders. And there's a consequence to that. We see it, right? Anecdotally, we see it. I think we've seen it on a larger scale. I'm recording this in 2023. And I feel like we are experiencing this unique labor movement of the 2020s that started with that great resignation. People were empowered to leave and go pursue something different, something better, they hoped. We have the quiet quitting, right? We have people saying, okay, I'm not going to just run around and do all this extra. I'm going to do exactly what's asked of me. So there, otherwise that's all you're going to get. There's the cost and consequence of the not speaking up, decisions that are made too quickly. There's like that exponential cost of firefighting. And then you have the cost of exhaustion that leads to impulsive responses, impulsive decisions, and that all leads to burnout and overwhelm. Unfortunately, I'm probably preaching to the choir on that. And I could share many different personal stories as a working manager where it was me and my time boundaries and my desire to do all the things and be all the things that I had found myself. Maybe I was working from home and I had the flexibility to pick up my kiddo from school and put him to bed, but everything else was just, I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. Our team culture was more about comparing the numbers. We all held that busy badge of honor. And it was our, start every meeting with how busy we were, how many meetings we have. And there were no breaks between meetings. And we were always in this constant state of firefighting. People were regularly breaking down in tears. Sunday scaries, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to help my people get through this? Relationships becoming squeezed, relationships becoming transactional. Personally, I experienced physical symptoms of stress. I just generally wasn't allowed to be the leader that I wanted to be. And I hear that a lot. There just isn't the time to do the work of leaders where time capacity is maxed out. And so, yes, time to be the leader that you want to be, because leadership is even more important than management. And that's coming from somebody who loves a good tracker, a good spreadsheet. I love data, but we need time. Leadership is the ability, the capacity to communicate, to articulate a vision, to help sketch out what this, we're expecting people to create something. So we need to visually communicate with them and sketch out that clear plan, guide, inspire, motivate. Leaders listen and communicate, and they align people. They align groups of people, and they bring these people together. Too often, we get focused on that ever-growing list of managerial tasks and to-dos that managers end up managing their people like a process, like a checklist. Again, I don't mind a quick, little reminder that says, make sure I'm giving recognition to everybody. But if it's becoming this transactional, we're not really leaning into the work of a leader. Managers manage their people through planning, organizing, staffing, and controlling. But as leaders, we recognize that we're simply all imperfect humans working alongside other imperfect humans. It's messy, it's uncomfortable. And the work that I love to do and that we want to talk about today is really transitioning from this, I don't have time for this, people, to this is why I do what I do. So how do we shift that? So let me begin by sharing my 5 fired up leadership principles. I believe that this helps define the way for people managers. These are principles that can guide your mindset, your communication, your in the moment reactions, your interactions with other peoples with other people. So let me go through these real quick. Leaders show up, and number 1, they choose to provide joyful service. If everyone's a leader, everybody has to lead themselves. But if every leader in your organization showed up looking to provide joyful service, they're going to choose joy. They're going to choose positive intent. They're going to choose service. They're going to, versus this idea of always being an overwhelm and struggle and oh my gosh, it's just so chaotic. They come in with joy and service. Leaders who learn to love and thrive the peopling side of management, they can infuse the workplace with a joyful mindset. And literally that energy is catchable. It's transformational. And that is where we can start shifting mindsets. Number 2, leaders embrace a growth mindset, fixed or growth. Some people believe that leaders are just born leaders. That's a fixed mindset. Like you either have those skills when you're born and you never get them again, or growth mindset, that these are skills that can be learned, that we have the ability to grow. And I do believe leadership skills can be learned. A mindset can be learned, and we can even measure leadership skills. Leaders teach employees this mindset of growth mindset, that we can figure this out. And that attitude organically becomes operationalized. And when we embrace that growth mindset, we're not picking and pointing and blaming about who made the mistake. We're learning from the mistake, celebrating that it happened when it did, and then moving forward with innovative thinking versus the fear of failure. Number 3, leaders nurture belonging. It is a foundational human need to be seen and to belong. And embracing the uniqueness of every individual. That's the primary role of leaders. We want to bring together spiky, unique, genius people who think differently, look differently, talk differently, everything, have different skills and capacity. We bring these spiky people together to form well-rounded teams. Marcus Buckingham talks about that. And those teams with differences, they need to be tended to. It takes leaders to create that culture that embraces this attitude and nurtures belonging. And that's a core principle in the fired up leadership style. Number 4, leaders practice accountability. And I might even throw in another word here. They practice compassionate accountability. Both are required. We need compassion in the workplace and we need accountability. And it's not an either or. I think sometimes a manager is going to look like, well, I got to put my soft hat on. I'm going to be compassionate. And then this is the hat, this conversation, I got to hold them accountable. And I'm not talking about the sandwich, give them something good and then directness. But compassionate accountability is we can hold people accountable for their choices and their behaviors and their results. And we can do that with respect and clarity and compassion. Both are required, both are possible. And number 5, the 5th principle to fired up leadership is walking with integrity, doing the right thing, even when no one's looking, choosing courage over comfort, like Brene Brown shares. And with that integrity, it isn't about being perfect and never stumbling or saying the wrong thing, because trust me, you will mess up as a leader, as a manager. You will put your foot in your mouth. You'll drop the ball. Yet, if you're walking with integrity, you can pick yourself back up and you can continue to do the work of leading. And I always just think of, we pull back the curtain, don't look at the man behind the curtain. What happens when somebody pulls back the curtain? Are they seeing you trying to walk with integrity and trying to work with these fired up leadership principles? If they see that effort, they're not going to expect perfection. And that can also be an energy or an attitude that is infused throughout your team and throughout your organization. Practicing these leadership principles definitely can be transformational. But then I got 5 more tips because I just want to squish in all the goodness. How do we actually go from transforming a manager into leaders? Yes, training, all that good stuff. But it begins by we got to define the way. And that's what I did back there with the fired up leadership principles. That is what leadership at Fire Up the Lead is. But what is leadership in your organization? That needs to be defined and in crisp, clear core values and action. This is what it looks like when you're doing it. And then are they true? Because you can define the way, but if we look behind the curtain and you're not doing it, how might we expect me to do it, right? Are they true? Then, when we have that way planted and we're choosing our leaders, like I said, it's often those individual contributors that were rock stars in producing that are promoted to lead people. But it's not always, that skill set doesn't always translate in the ability to get the work done through people rather than just doing it yourself. So when we're choosing, we want to really take a look at GWC. So this is an acronym from Traction, the Entrepreneurial Operating System by Gino Wickman. And he really talks about when we're looking at trying to find the right people doing the right work at the right time, and we're evaluating what seat they should be in. First and foremost, we consider that GWC. Do they get it? Do they get the vision? Do they get the purpose? Is it natural for them to align with your core values and action? Because if that's not quite there, it doesn't matter what seat you put them on. They just won't get it. So just knowing that as a litmus test of we can train how to fill out a report, we can't necessarily train the embracing of these types of leadership mindsets. Are they truly aligned? And do they act with integrity and treat others with respect? So that's core. Then when we have those pieces in place, number 3, how to transform managers into leaders is measure what matters. That's a book too. So like Bono and Google and the World. I can't remember the name of that one. But there are frequently unintended consequences when we measure the performance and say, you get a raise if you hit these metrics. People will hit the metrics. They'll do everything that they can to hit the metrics. But what does that mean? There's something else that they're not looking at. So there's unintended consequences. There's that cost benefit trade-off of when we're focused on this KPI, what's not happening. And all too often, what we're measuring doesn't prioritize the work of leaders. So it's really about how do we, in the measurement of how we're going to measure our leaders and how we're going to talk about performance, integrating those core values in action into everything so that it's not a litmus test of just a number, but it's really about the core values. And we talk about them all of the time. So integrate your core values, talk about them all the time, figure out a way that you can try to put a measurement that way and be ultra aware that you get what you measure. So making sure that you're measuring your managers on the time that they spend with their employees, the results that they get, the number of coachings that they're participating in, and not so much reports and transactional work that anybody else could do. And then let me get to that time. I could spend a whole 60 minutes just talking about time. Leaders need to spend time with their employees, and we need to give people managers the time to lead. So it's both of a shift of prioritizing the work it takes to get the resources ready for other people to do the work, different skill set, different tasks, versus prioritizing that dopamine response when we get the report done or we complete something. So really taking a look at prioritizing that time spent with employees and valuing that as much, if not more than that, what we get to do, what we're comfortable with. And then also being really honest with the time capacity of our people managers. You can't say you want them to spend half of their time with their employees, yet literally, take 75% of their time in meetings that are just updates, right? We have to have an honest conversation about that. And then, of course, how do we transform a people manager into a leader? Training and development, not just check the box. I have until the end of the week to get this, CE done, but really about equipping managers with the skills and giving them the tools that help them improve their leadership, improve their communication skills, instill that growth mindset, and really have that intentional training and mentorship. So There you have it. Just like that. These 5 things: defining the way, making sure they get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it, knowing that you're measuring what matters, shifting time priorities as the people manager and giving your people managers more time, and then equipping them and giving them purposeful training and development. And I say just like that. I used to have a personal trainer go work out 3 times a week. It was amazing. And he would get down on the ground and do some weird push up with one hand, and then he'd say, "Yeah, do 10 of those," just like that. I'm like, "Yeah, just like that. Let me do that." So let's take a little bit, because if it was that easy, it'd be that easy. Let's delve in a little bit into the benefits of leadership training. Why are we going to take time that we already don't have, and do this? So the benefits of leadership training, let's not throw anyone in the deep end. Let's give them the development and growth that they need in order to be not just an effective manager, but a transformational, inspirational leader. And it really is, we benefit personally, the manager, that personal development and growth. Leadership development is personal development, and it's continuous. It's a lifelong journey. So really learning how to incorporate that lifelong learning into the busy schedule, that's a benefit for sure for that continued development and growth. Benefits of leadership training, just strengthening performance coaching skills, being able to navigate, these critical, crucial conversations that just pop up in the moment. And it's like, oh, I didn't know what to do. Well, when we can prepare for those and talk those through, we can help prepare and navigate for those in the moment. Leadership training helps that individual contributor level up their strategic planning skills, helps them look beyond the day-to-day demands and really think bigger. What are the resources that I need to align? How do I need to move my time and other people's time? How am I going to delegate this work efficiently and not just looking at what needs to get done in the next couple of days, right? We need to not be surprised by anything. So lots of benefits from leadership training, but looking at the organizations that purposely invest in ongoing leadership training and development, they're going to just benefit from a team of leaders with stronger emotional intelligence. And right there, you hear it all the time. People don't leave their job, they leave their manager, right? A more engaged and motivated workforce that's empowered to find innovative solutions. That improves employee retention. So organizations also are going to benefit because people managers that can lead high performing teams, right? They're going to be able to work together more interdependently. And then everybody's going to be able to work on those big things that can have the impact and ultimately saving money, reduced hiring and onboarding expenses. If we're not leaving the bad manager, there's a lot less replacing and more traction that can happen versus always feeling like we're starting over. And this is where I would love to introduce you to Fired Up Leadership Training. So everyone benefits from leadership development, even if it's piecemealed with a course here and a book there or conference there. But even better if it's a well thought out leadership training roadmap designed on purpose, which is exactly what we have with our newest offering. The Fired Up Leadership Training Program is a comprehensive program designed to equip new supervisors and overwhelmed managers with the skills and mindset they need to thrive. We have 3 core features to support the busy working manager. They're struggling to find time already, more training. But this training is designed to fit that busy calendar. And I'm always, whether or not it's this program or any of the programs we put together, I always am looking to solve how do we activate and operationalize the learning in the classroom, virtually or in person, so that we actually bring this training to life. So this is kind of what I went into when I designed this. We have 3 core features. We have live training sessions nearly every month. We have an ongoing growing resource, a training library of resources that have videos, worksheets, templates. And then we have the group support with the Leadership Collective. And let me start there with the Leadership Collective. I love masterminds and collectives. They are powerful. This is really that opportunity to share and support through the real world challenges, gain an external perspective from people that are outside of your industry, outside of your team, your organization. They're intended to allow the learner to attend the training, go do it, and then come back and talk about it. I tried it. This is what went fabulously. I tried it. This is where I struggled. And as a collective, talking that through really leans to that ability to be resilient in order to, like I said, that different perspective and really navigate these real world challenges with a little bit more grace, a little bit more confidence. And they're designed to be highly interactive, to exchange those ideas and really bring it to life. So 10 sessions per year held on the fourth Wednesday of every month. These are not recorded because there's some, with the breakout groups and the conversations that go on, these are the best when they are live. Now let me take some time and share with you the program, Fired Up Leadership Training. So I am a fan and I'm a graduate of the UWEC Supervisory Management Certificate, and great foundational training options, but Fired Up Leadership goes beyond your standard supervisory management program. Again, designed for working managers, 10 sessions per year for the monthly live trainings as well. They're 45 minutes to an hour in length, all online. These are recorded. They introduce a topic, they engage, and then it's designed to activate. So we're not just going to learn about it. We're going to walk away with a plan on how to incorporate it. It's actionable with reflections and activities and templates, and then guidance, activities and materials to really help the learner to engage both their team, to engage their learning, but there's also guidance to help engage and use this with their direct manager. So it's a self-paced program designed to be a 9 to 12 month process. It's not a one and done program. It's focused on adult learning with short micro trainings that can fit those abundant schedules, and really a great opportunity to integrate this as part of a supervisor onboarding program. So if we've got emerging leaders or new supervisors, this is a great foundational training for them to be able to walk in with a path. Like, okay, where do I start? So here are the core features of our training curriculum. So we have the leadership fundamentals, really transitioning from that individual contributor role to a supervisor, or from a supervisor to a manager, and doing that with confidence, and what type of mindset and focus that each level takes. It's about learning how to expand your sphere of influence, and really understanding that distinction between management tasks and leadership. We take some time to talk about leadership and alignment. The work of leaders is alignment. It is not just getting it done. It is about making sure we have everything in place ahead of time. So aligning with the mission and the core values and the personal leadership goals, and just in really discovering and identifying and setting priorities. They walk away with a leadership commitment statement that helps guide their own leadership style. We spend a lot of time in communication, coaching conversations, how to establish a communication style. How do we give feedback in a way that it's received? That's the important. And how do we have some effective coaching processes? So we do talk process, but then we get into the guts of it on how can they engage in impactful coaching conversations that actually improve and enhance team performance and growth. We spend time talking about the team development role of a leader and how to foster high-performing teams, how to direct and delegate. How do we lead from the side? We're not always leading our direct reports. We're managing projects. Sometimes we have to manage our peers. Sometimes we have to manage up. Oftentimes we have to manage up. But that being influential, and how do we do that so that we can have that collaboration and synergy and success? And big chunks. We have a good chunk of time, a good training on it, but we spend time talking about time management, really mastering what does time management look like as you are moving through that leadership pipeline. How can you be the most effective? We spend time talking about how to avoid that overwhelm and burnout, so that we are committing to our own health and wellness, and then helping people shift those time priorities so that they get both that improved productivity, but that better work-life balance, so that you're not like me and you want to do all the things. So you volunteer for all the things and then you start regretting and burning out. Also, a huge foundation to the Fired Up Leadership Training Program is the principle of radical self-leadership. This idea that we are able to work within our strengths, that we develop and cultivate that compassionate accountability, and that honestly, that at the end of the day, we're all responsible for leading ourselves, managing our thoughts, managing our reactions, and really just different techniques for personal and professional growth. We spend time on strategic planning. Again, we need to look bigger than just the day-to-day. We focus on objectives and key results and SMART goals. So not just in the here's your worksheet, but how does this come alive over the course of a year? And how are you going to use this in the moment as you're leading people? And then, of course, leadership and action, just really empowering and leading and graduating with a leadership legacy statement that they cultivate, and really leaving that lasting mark as a confident and inspiring leader. So self-paced program designed for the busy manager. 9 to 12 months is typically the time frame that people work through the program. You have a year access to everything, the live leadership trainings, the small group leadership collectives, and then the growing library of resources. So right now we are enrolling now for only $555 per seat. So I've taken everything that I've done for the last 7 years as I've crafted customized training programs for organizations and really put together this as a foundational, this is the arc, here's how we'll move through it, systematic, purposeful roadmap. And as I launch this for the first time, I want to fill the room. So we are for 2023 enrolling at only $555 per seat. It is valued at over $1,200 per learner. But we're offering that special launch pricing as we get this first guided cohort launched here in September of 2023. These don't just launch at certain times. It's open for enrollment at every time. We bring people in and merge them into the leadership fundamentals and then get them into the training routine, the training schedule. But we are having fun with a group that we're leading as a full cohort starting in September of 2023. So if you want to take advantage and secure a seat at that $555 price, or if you just have more questions, maybe you're an individual and you want to take this for yourself, then check out the link to the Fired Up Leadership Sales Training Program, and you should be able to navigate that yourself. If you are a leader or an HR leader that you have maybe more than one leader that you may want to start in this program, let's start with a conversation. We can schedule a free discovery session. We'll get a better idea of who your leaders are, what they need, answer any of your questions, and see how we can get everybody started and that kind of merge them based on their schedule for the next few months. And to do that, you can email me at hello@fireupandlead.com. You can fill out a contact us form at fireupandlead.com. But I encourage you to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. I'd welcome your feedback. And even if you're not ready for a discovery, if you do want to have a coffee connect and learn more, I'd be happy to do that as well. So any questions, please feel free to reach out. Shine brightly, everyone.